Your San Antonio Spurs are up 1-0 over the Oklahoma City Thunder in the West Finals. Can they make it 2-0? Let's preview tonight's game. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Spurs in Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, Pocket Cast. The list goes on and on. Go subscribe right now. YouTube, just wherever you get us, right? Go do it ASAP. Don't forget about the Substack, Spurs in Focus Substack, completely free. Just hit subscribe and you're in. My name is Jeff Garcia, longtime Spurs writer in San Antonio, and thank you for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. You don't want to go anywhere else? Stay right here, and we got your back. Hey, what are we talking about today? Game 2 is tonight, Spurs-Thunder. The Spurs up 1-0 already. Yeah, they already got control of the series. We're going to be breaking down Game 2. Can the Spurs make it 2-0 going back to San Antonio? What are some issues in Game 1? What do they need to clean up in Game 2? And dare we say the Thunder are already in a must-win situation? We're going to talk about that and a lot more. Let's go and bring in my guest here, good friend of mine, Mike Jimenez. You know him, you love him there. He got a big old smile on his face and a new homeowner. Congratulations, Jimenez.
I appreciate that, man. My wife and I got our dream house the other day, so really excited about that.
When is the big? Is it in Houston or San Antonio?
It's in Conroe, so it's kind of funny. We got it the same day that the Spurs won Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, and I looked at my wife and I said, "This has been the perfect day."
There you go. There you go. You got a win in the conference finals over the Thunder. You got a house, you got a wife. Yeah, you're good. You're sitting pretty right now, Jimenez. Hey, everybody, make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. You want to do that right now. And yeah, we got a lot to go into because the Spurs, they have a chance to put kind of a very good vice grip on the Western Conference Finals series tonight. But before we look at Game 2, Jimenez, what were your thoughts in Game 1? Were you surprised? Were you worried? I mean, what were your feelings after the victory in a double overtime win?
One of the greatest games in Spurs history. One of the greatest games in Western Conference Finals history.
It was
Game 1. Remarkable. You know, we always talk about these games about having the dagger shot. This is the dagger that could have put the game away. There were like 7 or 8 daggers throughout the game, fourth quarter, first overtime, second overtime. But what an incredible performance.
It was.
Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, an incredible game. And at some point during that game, I looked at my wife in the first overtime and I was like, oh, I cannot believe we're going to lose this game. And then Wemby shoots it from the logo. And we need to talk about also the pose that he made to the bench. He was soaking it all in. And it was so arrogant. It was so wonderful. It's something that Tim Duncan never would have done, something David Robinson would never have done. But for him to look over at the bench, basically do a Superman pose,
basically
is a living embodiment of an alien or an Avenger. And for him to go out there and just make that pose and soak it all in. And the statement was being made not to his bench, not to his teammates who love him. That statement was made to the 18,000 that were there saying,
yep,
MVP's here. And it ain't the guy walking away with a trophy.
Yeah, bad move on the Thunder to give SGA that award pregame. That was a bad move. You do it maybe the night before. Maybe do it today.
Yeah.
Not pregame.
And Wemby looking off to the side, not even looking at SGA as he was getting that award. And, you know, the pettiness of Wemby, the arrogance of Wemby is something that we've never seen as a Spurs fan. And it's exciting to be on this side of it all. And I say the words petty and arrogant in respect. I say it as in I like it.
Yeah.
The humbleness of Tim Duncan's not walking through that door. The humbleness of David Robinson's not walking through this door. This guy wants to be the GOAT. He wants to be considered one of the greatest of all time. And if he wins this title this year, after, you know, the first time ever in the playoffs, you know, 9 games down, 7 wins to go, he gets this championship, wins finals MVP. He will go on to the level of a Tiger Woods. He would go on Tiger Woods, you know, when in his heyday. You know, this is something where he would be an all-time hero. Shohei Ohtani, like with the Dodgers, it's an amazing thing that he's trying to accomplish. It's not so much that he'd be the face of the NBA. He might be the face of sports.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So it's remarkable. And he's a Spur.
Yeah. It's trending that way, especially if they do advance to the finals and win it all. We shall see. But there's still some business to handle. That is OKC. More on game 2, just a bit, but just more on game 1. Yeah, Wemby was Wemby, 40 plus points, 20 plus rebounds, just a beast. Logo threes you mentioned. But what I liked about it was the overtime period 2. He had 9 points in that overtime period. And the Spurs, the 5 minutes, they led for over 3 minutes. The Thunder, they didn't lead at all in the second overtime period. So they took control. Blocks, they had the edge. Shooting, the Spurs had the free throws. They got to the free throw line more than the Thunder did. So love what we saw just from period 1 to the second overtime, all in all. And what I was with you with overtime 1. I thought the Thunder were going to start pulling away. I said, "Oh, here we go. This is it. It's over." But man, the Spurs were taking haymakers after haymakers, and guess what? They were throwing haymakers back at the Thunder. But I got to ask you, heading into game 2, and we're going to start it now here. Do you expect the Thunder to have, for their standard, that kind of play? SGA, he had 4 points at halftime, struggled to get 20 plus points and a double-double. Chet, was he even around? Did he play? Seriously, Jalen Williams. I said this in yesterday's show, Jimenez, when Alex Caruso is your leading team scorer and that is the guy in game 1 for the Spurs, you're happy with that outcome. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the guy's a 28% three-point shooter who went off for 8 threes. You know, it's not going to always happen that way.
Yeah.
I think that right now both teams are and both fan bases are trying to figure out exactly what they can take away from game 1 and move to game 2. You know, Oklahoma City fans are there saying, man, we need to have this generational game from Wemby to meet the OKC Thunder in double overtime. And it's like, no, the Spurs actually have things to overcome. De'Aaron Fox not playing game 1. Stephon Castle having 11 turnovers. The Spurs shooting just 30% from 3 in game 1. The Spurs did not play an A-plus game to win in double overtime. Like that, and that has to put fear in the eyes and ears and hearts and minds of Thunder fan of, you know, the Spurs won a double overtime game over there with a B- performance. It was entertaining. It was A+ entertainment.
It was.
But it was a B+ game. I mean, Harper had a great game, but it's not like the Spurs shot out lights out from 3. We didn't get that. Kel did not down a couple of big threes down the stretch, but we didn't get Champagne Golf for 4 3-pointers. We didn't have De'Aaron Fox play in the game at all. Wemby, I mean, his big 3 was that logo 3. You know, the Spurs didn't shoot lights out. The Spurs had a lot of turnovers and still won the game. And you look at it, this is a must-win game, man, for OKC.
It is. It is already. We're there for them. They're there.
Because the Spurs win game 2, it's a sweep.
It's done. Oh, yeah. You're going to tell the Thunder, okay, you're down 0-2. Now you got to beat the Spurs 4 of the next, 5 games? You're going to 5 games? Yeah.
3 of them in San Antonio. Yeah. Good luck with that.
That ain't going to happen. So, yeah, all the pressure is on the Thunder tonight. But look, I don't blame the national media, sports media, for calling out Chet after the game. I mean, he was a no-show. And what bothers me is that, okay, fine, yes, he's not at the level of Wemby, but he's the closest to, at least height-wise, to cause some sort of issues for Wemby, and nothing at all. Wemby just obliterated him and anybody that was in his way. Wemby, but we have to talk about Dylan Harper. I mean, what a performance. I thought going into this series, Jimenez, and it ended up proving right, that, yes, Wemby is a big issue for any team, including the Thunder, but I felt the Spurs' greatest strength versus OKC was the guards. And even without Fox, the guards still showed out, from Harper to Castle. Do you think that is the biggest key for the Spurs, maybe not Wemby?
It's interesting when you look at both teams because it's almost like they're built very similarly.
Yes, very similar.
You've got the 7-foot guy down low who plays really good defense. They have Chet, we have Wemby. We have the better version of Chet Holmgren.
They got Timu Wemby.
Exactly. And then you look at it and you think to yourself, well, they have Dort and they have Caruso, but we have players that can come off the bench, whether it be a Dylan Harper or it be a Champagne who can come off the bench and actually bring some game to it all. You look at this team, the Spurs team. Yeah, they have the MVP and SGA, but the Spurs have Harper, Fox, Castle combined. And oh, by the way, if you want to consider him a 3, they have Devin Vassell, who's playing the best defense of his life.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Devin Vassell out of Florida State was considered to be a lockdown defender, has not been a lockdown defender in the NBA, but the last 3 weeks or so has been bringing it defensively along with knocking down some critical jumpers and threes along the way. Devin Vassell, in his first playoff experience ever, is having a fantastic time, and this team is learning. I said after the game 1, I was like, man, Wemby is Neo from the Matrix. He's learning on the fly.
Mhm.
And it's not one of those things where he needs to have all this experience, he needs to have all this heartache. He's experienced so much in this playoff run, from being ejected with that elbow to having the concussion to losing splits as home court to Minnesota, to Sacramento, and to Portland rather. And then you look at this experience of winning a double overtime game. He's absorbing all of this in real time and adjusting to it. And everyone keeps on saying, well, what adjustments need to be made from game 1 to game 2? Here's the thing. The Spurs don't need to adjust. It is not their job to adjust. They get to impose their will on other teams because they do have that alien in Victor Wembanyama, who is the best player in the NBA right now. And already 3 years into his career, already a top 20 player of all time. I'll say it. That's what he is. You can't deny his abilities, right? He doesn't have the accolades yet, but just skill-wise, he is a top 20 player of all time already. You have a Harper who doesn't make any mistakes, just 1 turnover in like 47 minutes of play. You have Castle, who dude needs to clean it up, man. 11 turnovers is way too many turnovers.
Yeah, way too much.
Game. But he's somebody who can lock down people defensively, who can find his way to the basket. Then you add Fox to the mix, Vassell playing lights out. The Spurs don't need to adjust. It is incumbent upon other teams to find an adjustment for the Spurs, and we've never had that position as Spurs fans right now, to watch a team that's like this. And I brought this up on your podcast a few weeks ago. If the Spurs win this title this year, even though we've had Tim, Tony, and Manu, and David Robinson, and all the legends that have their jerseys retired on the rafters, this would go down as the greatest Spurs team of all time, eclipsing 2014.
Wow. That's definitely a take there, and definitely will reserve that for a show later down the road should the Spurs win. But no, you're right. We even talked about it too. Even just regular season, is this one of the most dominant regular season teams we've seen? And we have to agree, yes, they are. And now they're showing they can be one of the most dominant Spurs playoff teams right now. We're talking with Mike Jimenez. He is on X at MJ Acquired Taste. Give him a follow right now. He'll definitely appreciate it. We're talking about game 1, game 2 preview heading tonight into OKC. Spurs up 1-0. We talked about it right now. The Thunder are in a bad spot already. They have to win. They have to win tonight. That being said, are you expecting SGA to just go ballistic? Because from Carter Bryant to Harper to Castle, they put the clamps on him. He had to work for that double-double. It was not easy. Not easy. He did it. He may have had the double-double, Jimenez, but that wasn't a SGA vibe feeling game, was it?
Yeah, you never want to overreact to just one game, especially a game 1. But this goes on into the regular season about how they put the clamps on him, not only in game 1, but during the regular season as well, when the Spurs won 4 of the 5 games.
Right.
Think about this. The Spurs have won 2 out of 3 in Oklahoma City this year. And some of the victories that the Spurs had against Oklahoma City were when Wemby were on minutes restriction and he was coming off the bench.
Right.
SGA, you would think, if he is truly the MVP, if he is truly the best point guard in the NBA and heart of a champion, all that stuff, you would expect for him to come out guns a-blazing, basketball-wise, in game 2 tonight. But the arrogance of me as a Spurs fan right now, when I saw Wemby go off to the side and do that pose, that superhero pose, I don't think Wemby's the kind of guy that's going to be happy with a split.
No, I don't think he is at all.
I think, and Vegas is begging you to bet for OKC. OKC's favored by 6.5 points.
Oh, wow.
How explain to me
heading into tonight's game
and even game 2.
Wow. Even after the win, Spurs win. Okay, fine.
Spurs fans right now can get plus 200, which means they bet, let's say $100.
Yeah.
And if they win, they get their 100 back plus 200. So getting odds on it all for a win. I actually won that bet. I placed a bet in Louisiana over the weekend before game 1. And I bet money line that the Spurs would win. So Vegas is of the impression that it's got to be a 6-7 game series, man. In order for it to be a 6-7 game series, Oklahoma City has to win, or OKC needs to win game 2. The Thunder need to win game 2. And I'm just looking at it from just a perspective of, I can see the eye test. And the eye test is saying that the Spurs are the better team. The eye test is saying that Wemby is better than Chet, that SGA may be the MVP, but you combine Harper, Castle, and Fox, it's better than the guard play of that team, even though they have the 2-time MVP. I believe that Cornette's better than Hartenstein. I believe that Wemby is way far superior to Chet. And I believe that Caruso's 8 3-pointers in one game is an aberration.
Yeah.
And you just look at it, and the eye test is saying OKC may have had 2 more wins than the Spurs in the regular season, but the Spurs winning 4 out of 5, or now 5 out of 6 this season against OKC is not a mistake, man. And for people to be like thinking to themselves that this has to be a 6-game series, this has to be a 7-game series, that's what the NBA wants. That's probably what the NBA wants. It's probably what the public wants, like outside of San Antonio. But the reality might be that the Spurs are so much better than OKC because we're built to beat them.
Yeah. And it showed in game 1. This showed. They mentioned earlier, they took every major blow, body blow, shots to the kidney, shot to the face, everything, and they fought back. And that's, Jimenez, that Spurs team in game 1 looked like they had eye of the tiger, eye of a champion. They played like a championship team. And then for that game 1, Jimenez, I was like, okay, who really lacks the experience here? Is it the Spurs or the Thunder? Because the Spurs are showing as if they've been there and done that already. It was the Thunder that were scrambling. It was the Thunder that were having a rally. It was the Thunder that weren't able to hold on to their leads when they would build them.
That's what I'm talking about. The eye test is that, one team is a little bit more expensive than the other one. One's a champion, and the Spurs don't have that belt yet. But the eye test says that Castle's better than his counterpart.
Yeah.
That Harper is better than Caruso. That, the Spurs have the body, the length, the size, and have the athleticism. And that's where the Spurs, corner the market when it comes to it all. I know OKC had more fast break points, but man, just getting the ball up and down the court, though.
Oh, yeah.
The horses that the Spurs have, the guard play, and Devin Vassell playing lights out. And, it's remarkable what this team has done and how it's come together. And it all revolves around Wemby. It all revolves around a lot of the veteran leadership. We're looking at Devin Vassell right now. Devin Vassell has bought into his role.
Yeah, he has.
Keldon Johnson has bought into his role. And then now you add a Carter Bryant, babyface assassin that he is, going out there and just for 14 minutes,
hounding,
yeah. Like the movie Hoosiers, I want you to know what type of gum, what flavor of gum, it's dentine,
Yeah.
That's what he was doing, just hounding SGA. And he got caught on an up fake, but that happens from time to time. And then also the officials were for by and large not buying into the flopping that OKC is known for. Hartenstein, Caruso, all of them, a lot of those guys were flopping all over the place, and all but 1 or 2 times they held the whistle. And it's kind of like you have to go earn it. We're not gonna give you the parade line to the free throw line. And I know that a lot of Spurs fans were upset with the number of free throw attempts that SGA got in the fourth quarter, but a lot of it was legit. But I know the NBA wants a 4-game, wants a 6 or 7 game series. Spurs win tonight. Series is over. Series is over.
Yeah.
And why am I so afraid though of the Knicks?
Yeah.
The
You talking about bad matchups?
Well, the Knicks and the Cavs are the only two teams that I believe I think the Cavs swept the Spurs, I think.
Right.
Or
I'm not worried about the Cavs though.
No, but the Knicks, the Knicks for sure.
The Knicks, I don't know. They just ball out. I mean, from the Emirates Cup final to regular season, and then I don't know if I'm being tricked by the internet or if it was just AI, but the whole idea that that former Spur first round draft pick who will remain nameless, but he was number 10, might know the Spurs plays, might be able to provide that to the Knicks. But then again, you may know the plays, but only 7'4".
That's it. All right.
You can't counter that.
No, you can't. All right. We're going to take a quick little break. When we get back, I'm going to give you my keys to a Spurs win tonight. We'll see if Jimenez agrees right here on Spurs in Focus.
Secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull, I subscribe to Spurs in Focus."
Of course, Jimenez, it would not be a nerdy show if I didn't have that playing in the background there during the quick break here. We are back, everybody. He is Mike Jimenez. Make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. You want to do that right now. We're talking about Game 2, Spurs-Thunder. Can the Spurs put like a chokehold on the series? We'll find out tonight. Jimenez, let me show you my 3 keys to a Spurs win here. I'm going to bring them up here. Let me get your thoughts on this. Cut down turnovers. You did hit on that. Specifically Stephon Castle, but for the game in Game 1, Spurs were just coughing it up left and right, and it cost them. And more of that in a few seconds here. Yeah, so for the game, Jimenez, the Spurs had 23 turnovers. That cannot happen. Watch out for a hungry OKC. We know they have to win. They go down 0-2. Well, their season may be done sooner than they expected. And OKC points off turnover. That's what I'm talking about to number 1 now. OKC scored 28 points off of those 23 turnovers from San Antonio. That's a big reason why the Thunder never were always in it in the game. Also, to the threes from Caruso, but this was one of the major categories here. So you cut down turnovers. Maybe the Spurs don't need an overtime or a double overtime. They get the W. Your thoughts? Are you going to add anything to this?
3-point shooting for the Spurs needs to be a little bit better. The Spurs, when the Spurs shoot 35% or better from 3, they have a 900 winning percentage. When the Spurs shoot 40% or better from 3, they've only lost 1 game this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 98% chance of winning when that happens. So if the 3-point shooting goes down, the Spurs were just 30% in Game 1. The Spurs are going to run away with it. They got to cut down the turnovers. Castle with a weird stat line of 11 assists and 11 turnovers. I mean,
he's not a good assist to turnover ratio.
I mean, you look at it, he had the 7th most turnovers in the NBA this year per game. And I mentioned before on my podcast was talking about the fact that if the Spurs had lost that game, if that logo 3 not in, and the Spurs hadn't ran away with it in the second overtime, we'd all be talking about Castle's 11 turnovers.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
I know the Spurs win this game, and therefore it's kind of like it's swept under the rug. But cut down on turnovers, especially from Castle. You have to look at 3-point shooting. I would say make sure that Wemby stays inside. Wemby only took 2 3-point attempts in that game. It was 1 for 2 from 3, the logo 3 being the one that he made. Keep him down low because they have no answers. They have no answers whatsoever. At all. And even with Chet in the game, they have no answers. And hey, can we talk about real fast?
Go ahead.
Why does Chet get under Wemby's? Why does Wemby hate Chet so much? I mean, I know that they have beef from the junior leagues, back in the under 18 leagues, like USA against France, and there was a close game, and Chet was the MVP, even though Wemby outplayed him. But there's got to be something more than the competitive nature of the two players. Well, I don't know what it is. Well, when Wemby looks at Chet and
just wants to destroy him.
I mean, he turns into the Terminator.
Hey, I'm fine with that.
I mean, I'm fine with it also. But why is it specifically him? That's so funny.
Well, here's the thing too. I'm just leaving this up the graphic, everybody, just a little longer, so in case Jimenez wants to add anything. But Chet has talked about it in the past, and he says there is no beef. That is just kind of media made up, but could have fooled me. Really could have fooled me because, like you said, Wemby just goes at Chet like every single time, and I mean, sure, Chet got that game saving block on Wemby. I think to push overtime too. I think it was. But no, I mean, Wemby said, I believe Wemby said there's nothing between them two. But again, I could have fooled me. Jimenez, before I bring this graphic down, anything else you want to add?
Aside from that, the keys to the victory is the Spurs coaching staff as well. I think Mitch and Sweeney have done a fantastic job. And you look at the defensive matchups that are being deployed out there. Just keep it coming. Don't let SGA get comfortable out there with looks. And I thought that when it came to Anthony Edwards in some of the games that the Spurs lost, I think the Spurs were not giving Anthony Edwards the looks that they needed to give him. By looks is just like a different look. Put multiple people, different types of people on him. But with SGA, they're getting him out of his comfort zone. They're making him not catch the ball in his spots. They're making him not catch the ball at the time of the shot clock that he likes. The Spurs did an amazing job on SGA. They just got to keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And Jalen Williams too. Comes back from his injury. Didn't look like himself for the most of the game, but nevertheless, I guess he was effective, but a non-factor. A lot of the bigger guns that the Thunder have really were a non-factor. SGA came out alive like at the end ish. There wasn't again, but it was already, I think, too little too late for the Thunder. So, before we put a wrap on this show, going back to game one, do you think the loss was more OKC rust or just really the Spurs and smoking them? Because you brought up a good point. It took a Wemby dominant performance for them to survive against the Thunder. Your thoughts?
I think it was the Spurs showing him a better team.
Okay.
And I think that's what it was. Hey, real fast, SGA when he fouled Harper towards the end of the game, and it was being reviewed as a possible flagrant, but it was called a common foul.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it was a flagrant because at first I didn't think so.
I didn't think it was a flagrant,
but now I'm looking at other angles of it all. That was not a basketball move that he did.
Well, there was also a play too where Caruso threw the ball off of Wemby, but he got to replay.
He was out of bounds.
He was out of bounds. He was completely out of bounds, and the refs called it their way. So hey, there was that viral video of days before the Eastern Conference Finals were over, where they were saying Cavs Knicks Finals. So Jimenez.
Also one of my favorite things about the game is that Oklahoma City does this thing where the Thunder fan they stand up until they make their first bucket. They were cramping up in game one.
Well,
that's what they get. You know how we talk about Timu version of Wemby? Their Riverwalk has got to be the Timo version of the San Antonio Riverwalk because they copied it.
Yeah. Did you see it when they flashed it on the screen during the game? I was like, that looked like not even close. Like not close. It looked bare. It looked very bare, minimal. It wasn't alive. It wasn't festive. But and then they actually call it the Riverwalk. Like just blatantly to call it the Riverwalk.
They're gonna build their own Alamo downtown.
Somebody posted on social media the other day about the Riverwalk in OKC. They're like, well, they stole the Riverwalk, they stole the Spurs culture, they stole the Sonics, they stole Presti, they stole Chip England. What else is new? So, but circling back to game 2 tonight, how do you see it going down?
Well, Vegas has it as a 6.5 point spread. That's a good team. I mean, Oklahoma City is a good team.
Good team.
The way that I had predicted before the season, the series started, though, I predicted the Spurs would game 1, would lose game 2, would win game 3, lose game 4. So I predicted a split in San Antonio, but then 5 and 6, the Spurs would win. The Spurs would win in 6. After game 1, I'm gonna overreact. I think the Spurs win game 2. And I think that the Spurs win that game going away. I think it's going to be close throughout. I think it's gonna be close throughout, but I think that the Spurs pull a win by 8.
Wow. I'm thinking it's gonna be a narrow Spurs win. Maybe not an overtime win, but down to the last couple minutes kind of vibe. Very similar to game 1 Minnesota Spurs in San Antonio, like that kind of vibe. I just don't see OKC, especially Chet and SGA and J Will, them to go down like that. I don't see it.
Do you know what might happen in game 2?
Tell me.
It might get ugly. It might get dirty.
Oh, you're talking about
Okay.
amping up the physicality?
Well, the cheap shottedness of it all, because what happens if OKC suddenly sees the season slipping away?
Oh, yeah.
If they're gonna fall behind 0-2, you don't think Caruso and
Hartenstein,
are gonna do something dirty? Yeah, you think they're gonna play
Lou
clean?
Dort.
Lou Dort's known for that, man. And so I look at this game thinking to myself, this is the opportunity for the Spurs to put their boot on the neck of the opponent. And Wemby, how do you stop him at this point?
They don't have any answer for him at all.
They don't.
Nobody really does. I haven't seen any team that has a legit counter to it. Nobody.
And isn't it great looking back at when the season started? Everyone was like, "Man, Wemby's getting beaten up, and Wemby's getting this, that, and that." And you know what? All of that was iron sharpening iron. Is all that it was. And now Wemby looks at Randall and Draymond and looks at all these players that were physical with him and just laughs.
Yeah.
Like,
or should be saying,
figured it out.
thank you for prepping me. Thank you for prepping me and getting me stronger.
He's getting him stronger. And that's the beauty of going through a tough series against Minnesota. That's what and then having having to come bounce back, because people remember, I know that Portland series says the way that, what was it, 5 gentlemen's sweep, but the Spurs were about a quarter away from being down 2-1 in that series.
Yes, they were.
And then they battled back. So the Spurs in real time are doing what they need to do. And it's almost like this guy Wemby is continuously buffering, man. He's just downloading data. He's like he's Neo from the Matrix, where it's he just put the lesson plan in his brain. He's gonna blink 4 times and it's in the system. And I've never seen it. We've never seen a two-way player the way that this guy is. I know we've had big men, but who can do what Wemby's done?
No,
there's not one player in NBA history that has ever done that.
Well, his thing, just real quick, just if I can interject there, I don't understand why teams don't try to pull him away from the rim on the defensive end. Well, when the Spurs are on the defensive end, it's been successful. Portland did it a couple of times and it worked. The Thunder did it a couple of times. It worked. SGA got clear pass. And even Wemby, I think post game, I had to admit, like, I honestly, I couldn't give up too much because, I had a shooter.
Well, they had Jalen Williams out on the corner, trying to draw him out to the corner.
Yeah.
And then run the offense to the left. But I think the difference is to notice the Spurs deployed a zone down the stretch. And it was like, okay, you're going to try to pull Wemby away? Well, then we're just going to play zone defense. And it's so funny to see an NBA team, especially a team that went, 64-18?
Yep.
Champion with the back-to-back MVP, can't break a zone.
A simple zone. And they have zone breakers. They got tons of them.
They do.
Yes. From McCain to Williams to SGA, obviously, to Mitchell, AJ Mitchell, the rookie. And they can't bust it. Well, hey, look, I'm not trying to help the Thunder here, nor is Jimenez, but you got to scratch your head. Like, what are y'all doing? I guess Wemby is that feared. Like, he's that feared if any opponent gets near him going to the rim.
Even Chet was driving in, looking at Wemby and pulling it out. Chet's 7'1". He's doing.
He can just body him or just draw a foul.
And it's SGA drives in, comes back out. Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, they the only one that was out there that was actually challenging Wemby was Caruso.
Of all players. Yeah.
He had
And
to
not
get-
even Hartenstein. They try to body him or, just smash him around. Nothing.
Cruz had the game of his life.
Where-
For nothing. At the end of the day, it was for nothing. What a
Yeah.
win. What a
What a win. Yeah. That was a great win. Yeah. I was on the edge of my seat. I was really getting deflated in OT1. I said, oh my God, here they go. Thunder gonna thunder now. The rust is shaking off. They got the vibes. They're in the rhythm. Yeah. Sorry, Spurs. Try again. Game 2. I was like, oh, they took it. They absorbed it. That's where I was talking about that championship mentality, that championship poise, that championship response. It was all on display for San Antonio.
I just thought of something right now, by the way. I know this podcast might have wrapped up a while back, but
I don't worry about it.
I'm so excited about the Spurs. If Wemby goes off and they win the title
Mm-hmm.
in his first playoff run ever,
Mm-hmm.
that photo of him
Oh, yes.
posing,
Yes.
I think will rival Muhammad Ali, his knockout one. It'll be in the pantheon. Maybe that's not going to rival it. It's like let's dethrone it.
Yeah.
But it'll go down as one of the greatest photos of all time. And my favorite part of the photo is the reaction shot. It's not
Yes,
the
in the
Wemby
bench.
pose.
Yeah.
It's the reaction of the fan of the players. Olynyk pointing at Wemby, and then Fox, who's a multiple All-Star, 2-time, 3-time All-Star, standing there laughing. And then you see the shocked look of the face of Keldon Johnson, and then Lindy Waters, and then you see the smirk from Carter Bryant.
Yeah.
It is between. I mean, who would have thought that there are 3 iconic photos in Spurs history, in my opinion. And again, I have no research in this, and maybe I'm wrong. But 2 of the 3 happened this year.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the most iconic Spurs photo is not even a Spurs photo. It's George Gervin on the throne, on the ice throne, right?
Yep.
Cornets,
Oh, yes.
block,
Yes. And the arrow, that kind of that bow and arrow thing.
the bow and arrow, and then you have Wemby's pose. How do we get 2 of those iconic moments in Spurs history? And I heard this one guy on, he's kind of like a comedian. He's a sports comedian. And he makes funny TikToks about sports and whatnot. He has a funny voice. He said something on his he goes, "You think this was a game?" He goes, "No, this was the first play. This is the first 5 minutes of the eventual Victor Wembanyama documentary. The eventual ESPN 30 for 30.
That's a good one.
This is the origin story of how he became an NBA version of the Avengers."
We talk about a player, having their breakout moment, all that good stuff. Dare I say that game 1 was Wemby's breakout face of the league first step.
It
was the first step. It was that. We know he's arrived. We got that check. But it's all this debate. Is it him? Is it Ant? Is it Luka? Is it Joker? No, that could have been Wemby's debut as the face of the league.
I was blessed to watch the Spurs play in Miami this year. My daughter is in school in Miami, and my wife and I went to go visit her.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs happened to be playing. I picked that week to go visit her because I knew the Spurs were playing in Miami. I was like, I want to go watch the Spurs play. And for Miami Heat fan, this was in March, for Miami Heat fan to look over at me and go, "Are you from San Antonio?" Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I heard you talk about that. Yeah.
And they're like, how lucky you are as a fan to have that.
Absolutely.
And I had people, just strangers, Heat fans, were wearing Heat jerseys, Tyler Hero jerseys, and Bam Adebayo jerseys, and the Miami Heat jerseys, and the Miami Vice jerseys that they have there, the Vice City jerseys. And they look at me and they're going, "We've never seen anything like this." And the number of what the Fs and what the hells and oh my God, or just almost, just expletives coming out. They just kept looking and I could hear the murmuring in the crowd of like, what is going on? And it was almost as though they wanted to see it again. When we watch Giannis play the Spurs, we watch LeBron James or Nikola Jokic, or we watch SGA, or back in the day, we didn't want to see them do well. But everybody is going over there because they want to watch Wemby not lose. They want to see Wemby do Wemby things.
Yes, that's it.
That they've never seen before. And I'm going back. I'm 49 years old, and I've been watching the Spurs since I was in diapers. going to games at the Hemisphere Arena, always the Alamo Dome, to the SBC Center, to the AT&T, to the Frost, or whatever you want to call it, right? Been to the games in Dallas and Houston. I've seen the Spurs play in Miami. I've seen the Spurs play in Austin. In my entire life, I've only seen people react to that to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. That is it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Rare.
Magic. Maybe Magic.
You said LeBron, right? I think I put him in there.
I don't.
Peak LeBron, yeah, he was must-see TV.
No, he was must-see TV, but I don't think it was something that we had never necessarily seen before. I would maybe even see Kareem would be.
What would you say? Showtime Lakers, just as a collective, be a part of that
as a collective? Like, you wanted to see the Lakers do Showtime. You want Showtime coming to Hemisphere Arena? We want to see Showtime. We want to see a 4-on-3 break with James Worthy, Byron Scott, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We want to see that, right? I don't think Spurs fans were really excited about Larry Bird. I don't think Spurs fans were necessarily excited about LeBron James.
Yeah. I would throw in there peak Golden State Warriors as well.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Where it gets amped up, but the peak, like, we've seen 3-point shooters, we've seen Reggie Miller go off, but we've never seen Wemby do. We've never seen a player do what Wemby does, and it's all coming into focus. It's all coming into the confidence level where the game has slowed down to the point where, again, Neo from the Matrix, just point the hand out and the bullets stop.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre seeing that as a Spurs fan, and then him smirk, do a pose, flex, yell at Chet, and earlier in the season be like, yeah, I'm damn straight I'm the MVP. Dude, we have never seen that as Spurs fans, and we have had the privilege and the honor of having the greats of George Gervin, greats of David Robinson, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and obviously Tim Duncan. But here's the thing, man. The greatest Spur, the best Spur of all time is Wemby. He's 22.
Yeah.
Because as I know Duncan has the 5 chips, right? And I know that the Robinson was the unicorn of his time. But tell me a time when Tim and Dave ever play like Wemby. And I'm not trying to lower the status of Tim or of Dave, but even they look at Wemby and go, "What in the holy heck is that?"
Yeah. Yeah, it is a great time. And by the way, I love how he's separating himself as a franchise player, because David and Tim, company line, win with class. And not to say that Wemby doesn't. He does, but he has a little bit more. He has a little more pettiness in him.
That's it.
That than Duncan and D-Rob. D-Rob, grace and victory and defeat. Timmy, same thing. Wemby hates losing, and not to say the other two didn't, but he really carries it on his shoulder.
But Wemby, you could see the
you can see it.
You can see who you could like you hear those stories about Kevin Garnett talking about Tim Duncan and how he would try to jaw him up and he would say, "Oh, got you." He would like that was the most that he would say, right? And we would try to say, okay, well, we don't need a Kevin Garnett because we have Tim. We have Tim Duncan. But who does Wemby hang out with? Not only with Tim Duncan, he hung out with Kevin Garnett over the offseason. This guy
hung out with Dream Olajuwon,
with Hakeem Olajuwon, with David Robinson, with the Monks for 2 weeks. Like, he just personifies whatever is needed. Does he need to be calm in certain situations? He has the ability to calm himself down. If he needs to be amped up in certain situations, he amp himself up. And at the same time, he has the arrogance that he needs to be a superstar in 2026. He is the face of the NBA. He wins 7 more games this season. He will be the face of sports worldwide.
Yeah.
And the guy calls the Frostbank Center home. He calls the Alamo City home.
Yeah.
And how remarkable is that? And then you couple that with the fact that the Spurs have a boatload of draft picks, and now that with the new changes for the draft picks and how you can't tank your way necessarily to the top, guess who that benefits? Spurs.
Yep.
Because the Spurs have Sacramento's pick down the road, and
Yep.
the better of Dallas and Minnesota's down the road, and the Spurs have Atlanta's next year, and the Spurs have, I think, a Boston pick somewhere along the way, and it's like the Spurs are in a position right now where they're gonna see players knocking on the door. Good players are gonna knock on the Spurs door and go, "You got room for me?"
Hey, times are changing in San Antonio. Yeah, when the Spurs start racking up titles, could it be soon as this? Well, a couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks.
And
not.
and I'm gonna be out of the country
Oh no, of course you are.
during the NBA Finals. My
Where
honey,
you going?
I am going to Italy, France, and Spain. So I've already told my wife that even though tip-off would be at 2 a.m. over there, if I'm in Paris on my honeymoon, we're gonna go off to a Spurs watch party, and I've been Googling Spurs watch parties, Wemby watch parties in France, so that when I'm there, if the Spurs are in the finals, I'm gonna go check out a.
Hey, that would be that would be nice though to watch, to be with the French crowd.
Oh, I
Shoot. Oh, that'd be an experience. That is
Oh, my
definitely an experience there. He is Mr. Mike Jimenez. You want to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste? Do that right now. He's also formerly with San Antonio Sports Star, so the man knows what he's talking about. Give him a follow again, MJ Acquired Taste. Jimenez, we missed you here at Spurs and Focus. Glad you took some time to join us. I've been chasing Jimenez for the past 2-3 weeks, everybody. I have, but he's a busy man. You heard, house, wife, business, all that good stuff. It happens.
Yeah.
We've figured it out. He's here. That's all we care about. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. And everybody else, we thank you all for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. And let us know what you think about our takes, our takeaways, our thoughts on game one, thoughts on game two. We picked the Spurs to win. Do you all? Again, MJ Acquired Taste, Jeff G Spurs Zone. Do it right now. iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Amazon Podcast. You know what to do. Go subscribe as well as on the Substack. Completely free. Spurs in Focus. See it on your screen. We'll be back tomorrow. I think we're going to be back with a live post-game show. We'll see if Rudy Campos is down for that. But if anything, we will be here tomorrow. But nevertheless, for Mr. Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. And now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.